Today's episode of the Just Keep Swimming podcast is brought to you by Audible. Audible is an online audiobook and podcast service offering over 10,000 books and the ability to listen to your favorite podcasts, including the Just Keep Swimming podcast. I personally use Audible all the time and suggest you take a listen to Intentional Living by John C. Maxwell. In this book, Mr. Maxwell shares his story on how he was able to live a noble and purposeful life and gives you tips and tricks so you can do the same. So please start your 30-day free trial now at www.audibletrial.com/JKS podcast, all lowercase. Again, that is www.audibletrial.com/JKS podcast. And if you have any more questions or concerns for the Just Keep Swimming podcast, you're always welcome to reach out to us on Facebook or at Instagram at justkeepswimming_podcast, or you can email us at jkspodcast702@gmail.com. And with that out the way, let's dive into it. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the Just Keep Swimming podcast. It's your friend, your boy, your host, Mr. Adrian Jackson, back at it again with another great episode for you. And you already know who's with me. It's the man, the myth, the legend. It's Mr.
Captain Capper.
AKA.
What did they say earlier? It was,
oh, shit.
Dude, I had a new name.
What?
Yeah, it was something stupid, like
the dreaded demon?
The dreaded demon is kind of double D.
Double D, yeah. DD.
It was Donnie Man.
Donnie Man?
Yeah, one of my kids.
Oh, Donnie Man,
yeah.
I like that.
I think one of my coworkers' kids that we helped serve, it was like one of her seniors. Since I can't be there necessarily for that programming day anymore, since I'm helping out at another school. I guess he was asking where I was at. It was like, or he texted her. He's like, "Is Donnie Man going to be here this week?" Donnie Man, and I'm like, "That's funny. I've never heard of that before." So yeah,
don't you love it? Don't you love the creativity, kids, man?
Yeah, it flows right into this episode, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Nah, bro. So I had that the other day. I was, and it was funny because it was a kid that I didn't even know knew me. But I walked into the lunchroom or something. We was doing something to gear up, and then he walked up. "Hey, what's up, Mr. J?" And I was like, "Wow, I like it. You're the first one to call me Mr. J. Like, everybody's Mr. AJ, Mr. Jackson, stuff like that. Mr., of course.
Yeah.
But, they're like, "Oh, what's up, Mr. J?" And I was like, "Okay, I like that. We will rock with that one."
Mr. J's kind of tough, yeah.
Oh, Mr. Tough. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Joker. Because old Batman, that's what Harley Quinn always called him, Mr. J.
Yeah.
"Where's Mr. J?" Or "Mr. J's coming." Or so that's what I always think of, Mr. J.
I haven't thought about that in a minute. Yeah.
Yo, bro. So look, we're going to jump right into it with creativity. So the idea for creativity really came to my mind because of Batman. So recently I've been watching this Batman series called The Batman. It's one of the animated ones.
Very creative. Very creative,
right. But so the title ain't creative, but the episodes and the show is really creative because it's kind of like, we all know this man's story. He's a billionaire, parents got killed, got let loose, or parents got killed. He got revenge for his parents, and, now he's this rich billionaire saving the world pretty much. We all know his story, right?
Right.
But it's kind of crazy on how you can keep rewriting this same story to different avenues or different respects. So like the other night I watched the episode of this Batman show, and it was the coldest combination of stuff ever, where they made Bane, they gave Joker the Bane serum. And I'm like, what kind of concept is that?
What was the whole premise behind that? Like, how did that even become?
So this Joker is really just Joker, as in he doesn't give a fuck. He's just petty. He wants to be petty. He just wants to cause chaos, just like how the Joker truly is. So somehow he went to the police lockup. They didn't even explain this part of the story. He went to police lockup, stole the vein serum, and he wants to rob banks. he wants to carry the money out on his back. Like literally, he wants to carry the money out on his back. So he'll pop the Bane serum and then pick up the fucking vault and then walk out the store. Walk out
crazy.
The bank. And I'm sitting here like it was the concept that just got me was like, y'all just merged two of the wildest villains in the world. You know what I'm saying? Bane, the one that broke Batman's back, and then the Joker, the one that made the city burn. Mm-hmm. And they said, let's merge them and put them together and let's make Batman fight them. And I was like, what a concept. Like, how'd you even come up with this idea? Mm-hmm. And that would really led me to this idea of the episode of like, where do all these ideas continue to come from? How do we keep being so creative? Like, you know, you think that at some point, you know, there's thousands, if not millions of movies out there in the world. You think at some point we'll stop coming up with new movie plots, new movie scenarios. Mm-hmm. But then I watched the movie the other day, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Amazing movie plot that I've never even thought about putting together. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, how do we get this creative? How do we keep being this creative, you know? And that's what made me want to talk about the creativity for today's episode. So I just kind of want to start off with the general question of, do you believe creativity is truly like an endless river that will always have like creativity and ideas? Or do you believe it's more of like a lazy river that just flows around and we're just starting to tap back into old ideas again? You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
That's interesting. I think I also have to ask though, before we even get into that too, is okay, if you return to an idea that kind of pre-existed and built off of that, is that creativity or is that not creativity?
And that's a good question. I would say technically it is creativity, because for me, so with that question, what you said, what I think of, what first thing popped in my mind was modders for video games.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they be coming up with some creative mods out there.
100%.
And all they did was take the old formula for the game and make the characters look different. You know what I'm saying?
Or just added new things into it.
Added new features to it without really breaking the mechanics of the game, you know? There was another idea, or just like the idea of like your high level gamers in general, you know, like, you know, I started learning how to play Apex and these people were showing me concepts that I never thought of. And I'm like, that's a very creative concept with playing this game, you know? And it was like, they didn't do nothing new, you know what I'm saying? Obviously the game always allowed you to do it, but they were creative enough to figure out that you could put two and two together and make this happen, you know?
I was gonna say, I kind of had that thought last night because I was playing, you know, one of these old games I used to play with Fernando. We haven't played in a minute. Lethal Company, I think I spoke to you about it. It's like this horror game. And one of the interiors that you can find when you go to the moon, it's like a mansion, but like, you know, it's a game where you can easily get lost, and you you have to like keep track of yourself so you can bring the scrap outside so you can bring it to your ship. But one of the things is in the mansion is like sometimes you're so far in that you don't know where you're going. But Fernando reminded me of this tip that he found out is like, if the doorknob is on the left, that means you're headed back to the entrance.
Wow.
And I don't know where he got it from, and I'm just thinking, well, he had to learn it from somebody, and then that person probably also had to learn it from somebody. But let's go back to the beginning. Like,
who thought of that first?
Is that something that's universal in life? So if I'm, or does that go through across all the maps and all the interiors? Is that how did you even figure that out? How did you even come up with that?
How'd you even come up
or
with
notice
that?
it?
Exactly.
And is that designed in the game, or did it just happen to be that way?
Exactly. Did it happen to be that way? Did they do that purposely?
Yeah.
So somebody can figure it out, or did it just happen to be that way, you know?
Yeah.
And that's like, stuff like that always makes me think, like, for example, you know, old gamer life. They used to have the magazines that you had to read to figure out how to do stuff in the game.
It's like Game Informer, right?
Yeah, Game Informer, all that stuff. And it just be like, for me, it was like, how? Like, is the person writing this Game Report magazine the person that created the game and he's just sharing all the secrets?
Right.
Or are these people that played the game and found secrets out during the time and like, okay, I can share it now?
Well, then again, like, then those Game Informers come out as like the game released or even before the game released, so it's like,
and they're all different. Some of them come out just to announce stuff and stuff and, you know, pre-inform you, and then other ones come out after the game's already been done as a full walkthrough. You know what I'm saying? So it's literally just like based off of the timing of it, you know. But then based off of that though, just that concept, I love when I go on YouTube and I love when I hear them say, it took us 15 years to finally figure out we can do this in this game.
Yeah.
And you be like, really? 15 years to figure out we can do this? Like, why did it take so long to figure this out? You know, like, but then, like you said, somebody wasn't creative enough or somebody had to get creative enough to do that. You know? So, like, you know, I guess that kind of leads back to my same question. Like, is it just like, is being creative breaking the rules? Is it just like an endless circle? Is it all fresh ideas? Like what is creativity and how do we get that?
I mean, I feel like, I don't know, I'm just gonna say what I like
say
came to my head,
yeah,
but
exactly.
like, I just feel that creativity essentially is just taking like an idea or a situation and forming it in a way that matches your preferences.
I love that.
So that's where I guess you can have, when it comes back around to like a previously made idea, it's like, okay, well, yeah, this is a cool concept, I like the idea, but this is how I would do it. This is the way that I feel would make me happy if I truly own this idea rather than just conforming to what was already given.
Right.
And then that allows it to build upon itself, or either build upon the old idea or create something separate from it. Like going back to like let's bring in science, like the different types of currents. Like you have an alternating current and then you have a direct current. Two separate ideas that kind of function very similarly together, but they're two different creations that serves different purposes.
Exactly.
But I think one of the currents came from the invention of the other. So I think that's where it kind of, you have those two types of creation, one that builds off another idea that pre-exists, or something that was created completely separate just based off of another idea.
Right, exactly. No, and you got it exactly right, because from my history, from what I remember, the currents was one current just flowed straight, and then they created the current that pushes and pulls, and that's the current that we constantly use now more than anything. The other current is still used in certain aspects, but like you said, this is not applicable for today's world as we use
for most things.
For most things, you know. But like one thing I really want to touch on, what you said, was your perspective. I think your preference and perspective determines the creativity that is created. You know. So the reason I said that was I remember listening to this amazing. I was watching some documentary about MJ. Side note. Did you know Michael Jackson's voice, the one we hear on TV and on the music?
It's not real.
It's not real?
Yeah, I knew about that.
Okay.
It's kind of actually jarring once you hear it. Okay,
but now check this now, right? If you go... Oh, you heard the song with his real voice on it?
No.
Okay.
I think I just heard him... I think I just heard somebody saying that, like, the voice is fake, and then I think there was probably, like, a snippet of him just actually talking normal.
Okay.
Like, in general.
So, anybody out there that want to hear this man's real voice, go to... Apple Music, Pandora, wherever you get your stuff. You want to go to the Michael Jackson Invincible album and 2000 Watts. That's him singing, talking, and everything in his regular voice, and it's kind of trippy. Like, you sound like a smooth Usher, low key. But
really,
yes. But yeah, what was I saying? Okay, back to MJ though. So what the guy was, he was telling a story about how Michael Jackson like picks the beats he wants to use, and he was saying that one day they were like riding in a limo somewhere or something, and there was construction happening, and Michael was like, "You hear that? You hear that tinging noise? I want that on my album." And then the dude was like, "How the fuck am I supposed to make that happen?" You know what I'm saying? So he, he said he got to go rent a tape recorder, climb to the top of a building somewhere and put the recorder up there so he can catch that noise, and then he had to go back to the studio and figure out how to put this noise on a beat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because Michael Jackson didn't want no regular, 808s. He wanted something unique for all his beats. And the dude was saying that, Michael Jackson's perspective on how music should sound really helped change his perspective on how music could sound, because now he's hearing music everywhere all the time in different ways, shapes, and forms, and see he can turn the beat there or whatever.
Right.
And then what made it deep for me was the thought of, I probably could have drove past the same construction site at the same time as MJ. He would have heard a beat, and I would probably saw a podcast idea.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Of lifting heavy items or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it could have been, but the construction could have motivated me to another mindset.
The same source can form different creations. Different
creations, and like you said, it's based off the mind that you have, the perspective you have, Same thing for flag football. I could see a play one way and a parent could see a play a completely different way. He shoved my kid. Your kid's playing football. That's how I see the perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like, your kid jumped in the air and they bumped each other and they fell on the ground. Football.
It's contact.
She sees it as, my son just got assaulted and he needs to pay. You know what I'm saying? Because she has a different motherly perspective on it, And it's like, that is very interesting to me. But I do believe that right there is like one of the ultimate keys is perspective. And I think my next one is going to be experience. I think your experience can help adjust your creativity as well.
Yeah, I would say so.
Right, because based off your experience is going to help determine what you're going to create low-key.
And why.
And why, exactly, and why you'll create it. Like, prime example, the Christmas party we had recently. I created that little blow-up ball game downstairs. That was
the one I commented on, saying, I was like, yo, did you make that? Like, what do you put? What is that on right now? And you put it said it was like the drywall
markers and some blow up
water
mini balls,
beach balls,
blow up mini beach balls, and we came up with a damn carnival game, And I was like, everybody, but you weren't the only one though. A lot of people came up like, man, that's very creative, or how'd you think of that? I'm like, I saw the drywall in there, and I'm like, shit, I need a marker. And I got these balls. Let's make it work. And I just threw it together, But it worked. And it was like, wow, how? And sometimes in my mind, I'm like, I don't know how I even thought about that. But it's just, I knew what I was looking for. I was looking for a game for the kids to play. I knew I wanted to do something outside to stretch my legs a little bit and get outside. And I wanted them to be able to win some money. And I wanted to figure out how to separate the scores and stuff. That was literally it. And everything else kind of fell into place,
Right.
But yeah, random creativity, So, have you ever had experience like that though, when you created something and somebody was like, how? Like, where? How? Like, how'd you even come up with this?
I have. I just can't necessarily. I can't necessarily remember many things. It's kind of just spur in the moment, and I'm just like, it's just more of like, I see a need. And I just adapt to the situation to see how to feel it. So like, it's not necessarily something I remember much. But let me see. Another thing is, I think it mostly kind of happens with music. Sometimes like Gerald.
And as I said, your perspective. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like your world is probably more musical.
I was gonna say like just with certain samples that I've used and things like that. Gerald being like, how'd you even like come up with that, or how'd you even chop it like that? That's crazy that you were even able to do that. So that probably things at work, making random contraptions just to fulfill a need.
Right.
Man, I can't really think of anything right now though.
Okay.
Yeah. Is this similar to you though, where it's just like, okay, there's a need. In your case, it was to fill a game. Maybe it was just to plug a hole in a wall or something like that.
Right.
I look around, I see what you could possibly use, and then just do with it.
Man, look, you said it perfect. Plug a hole in the wall. My freshman year in college, my frat brother, shout out my trade club, he punched a hole in his wall out of anger at some point throughout the school year. We're about to check out. the course they gonna check your dorm room for incidents. He had a hole in his wall. It wasn't like a big. It was like just more like his knuckles, whatever. It wasn't like a full hole. So I have no idea how, why, where it came from. But for some reason, I had Play-Doh in my room. So I went to my room, grabbed the Play-Doh. You know, we mushed it up. We mushed it into the wall, and then he had some white paint for some odd reason, and we just paint over the wall on that white. And like it wasn't the exact same shade, but you can tell there's a hole right there. And it was like, that works.
That's
and left,
crazy.
and he never got fined for it, and we called it a day. And I was like,
what hall was it?
What hall was that in? Lincoln Hall?
Lincoln. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you know, so it's
not there.
Yeah, it's a building or office space now. But yeah, that hall right there. We punched a hole in. He punched a hole in the wall, and you know, out of nowhere, you found the need. The need came, and it was like, oh shit, I can't possibly help with that. I think I have something that can help. And then I just went and grabbed Play-Doh, and it worked. And I was like, I don't know how we made this work, but it did, though. You know,
right?
But that's like something like you said. I can imagine myself coming up with that beforehand. You know what I'm saying? I needed the opportunity to arise for me to get there.
And I think that just what influences me. Like, I guess I tend to work in the moment, rather than necessarily having like a true abstract idea that was like, you know, people need this. Let me just do this and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. It just...
But then, like you said, it's based off your perspective, because I'm pretty sure we already know there's somebody out there that says stuff like that. Like, somebody will need some Tupperware, and I'm gonna make Tupperware, and now they got Tupperware. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sure that happens for sure. So, one of my questions for you is when you have like a small creative block, like what are some things you do to refill that block?
Time.
I love that. I love that. I think that's beautiful right there.
It's kind of controversial, and I feel like this is like a whole nother topic of like a whole nother can of worms to dig into. And I was talking about it with my girlfriend the other day too. But like just this culture of today of just constantly grinding and things like that, and it's like, do you really always need to be grinding like that? Like that's how people get burnt out. And like, I just wonder how a lot of these people don't get burnt out but create these wonderful things. But then I guess in most cases, at least in my opinion, it seems like if you're just constantly doing that, it just seems the quality of whatever you're creating kind of goes down, or it just seems samey. Like maybe in the beginning it was super creative and innovative, but then it's just not anymore.
It
like
became dull now.
Yeah,
it's not no longer creative. It's now a norm.
Yeah,
you know.
And I feel taking time to, at least this just may just be how I work. I just need time to formulate new ideas and opinions and go through different life experiences to influence like what else I want to create. It's similar to, I guess, tattoos for me.
Right.
Like, I want tattoos. I want a whole sleeve that probably goes up to my chest, just on this side, just on my left side, and that's it.
But you want to make sure it's worth something.
I want to make sure it's worth something and it's meaningful.
Not just go get a tattoo because they're on sale on Friday 13th.
Precisely. Another thing too that I usually think of is just, again, I'll bring this quote up again, fuck the audience. Like usually I know what keeps me away from my creativity or even trying to create is like worrying about whatever everybody else may think of it. Fuck it, let's just see what happens. Let's throw it on the wall and see what happens, or just see what comes out of it this time. Do I have to post it? No. Do I have to do anything? Let me just do it. Fuck what everybody else thinks, but within that same token, fuck what I think. Just do it. Just do it.
Just do it, bro.
Yeah.
And I feel like that too. Like, I love how you say like the fuck the audience mindset, because I'm like that with trivia sometimes. So at first when I used to have trivia, and definitely the last time you came, I controlled my playlist. So and I don't want to say that correctly. I was very conscious of my playlist. So, you know, every song that came on, I either picked it or I knew it was about to be next, and I wanted to make sure whoopty. Recently, I stopped caring. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let my playlist play. I'm just going to put it on shuffle and let it play. And when I started doing that, people have been coming up to me, man, I'm loving your playlist, man. You been updating your playlist? I'm like, no, it's been here. I just never let it out. You know what I'm saying? I never let it out on this level because I feel I'm going to offend somebody, or someone may not like this song, or, you know what I'm saying, it's a little too hood for this bar. You know, the N-word's dropping too much. But at the end of the day, it's like, I'm creating a vibe right now, you know what I'm saying? Let's let this thing just vibe, you know? And people are vibing with me and they enjoy it. And it's like, they'd rather have it be more random how it is than, you know, knowing the next song about to come on is fucking D12 or whatever. And it's like, shout out D12. But, you know, I don't want Eminem coming at me, you know what I'm saying? I don't need M march at me, but yeah, like, they used to be consistent. They know what songs are coming, you know? And it's like, no, I got to be more creative with that. So, same thing with the podcast thing. You know, I've always been thinking about how we could continue to do our routine, but take away some of the burnt out and, you know, some of the time dedication that was needed. And that's why I came up with the idea of, okay, half an episode there, and then let's deeper dive on it another day. And for me, it works. You know what I'm saying?
For me, it's
like,
working too.
I enjoy it. You know, if other people don't like it, I'm sorry. You know, say something. You know, say nothing. You can't do nothing about it. But you know what I'm saying? As for me, it works, and I feel like it works for me. So I think it keeps me being creative, and it helps my creativity because now I get more time to think. You know what I'm saying? I get way more time to think and come up with my ideas and go from there. Literally right now, I'm trying to create a senior presentation for my seniors. And I'm glad I did not start it right when I said I wanted to do it. Because as I'm going through and talking to these seniors more and understanding who they are personally and seeing the issues, I'm now going to be able to correlate my presentation to really fit their current needs, not just what I think they need, but from what I'm seeing and saying, okay, this is what I've been seeing, you guys. I've been dealing with a lot of you guys. Y'all have this mindset. I want to give you some medicine for this mindset. Let's switch this up. You know what I'm saying? You're about to go in the real world. Here's some stuff you need to hear because the world's not going to care. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to learn this unless you go look for it. So I'm giving it to you for free. You know, but same thing though. If I would have tried to do this before I even started the school year, my presentation would probably have been like me being an asshole compared to now me being sincere and saying, I heard you, I hear you, I saw y'all. This is where I think y'all need help at.
I mean, I don't even think it's like a difference between being like an asshole or just being there, but it's like it's applicable. Like it's
more applicable.
It's
now.
applicable, yeah. Like it's useful rather than taking a gamble on if it will be useful.
There it go. Yes, that's what it was. And that's why I was saying, like, feeling like I'm being an asshole. Like I'm just throwing out shit at your information and saying, learn this, learn that, and it's like, man, what you talking about? Like, oh, we learn that every day. We practice this every Tuesday. You know? So it's like, nah, let me actually sit down and listen and see some things that I feel can be more applicable, more help you right now compared to me just giving you random knowledge and seeming like I'm a smart ass and I know everything, you know. So but yeah, bro, I think that right there is like really deep. And you know, I think creativity is something that's like, so yeah, I guess that's my last question for you. Do you think it's an endless well? I don't know if you ever answered that.
No. Before I get to that though, and I think this kind of ties into it. Like, I know you pivoted to saying perspective, but I want to bring the importance on preference.
Okay.
Like, you can have a different perspective, but you can prefer that new idea. But I think it's important to have a different preference on what you feel is right.
Can I get an example?
Kind of like a difference between preference and perspective. It's like you can see it differently, but like you can have the same perspective, but you want to do it differently. I can see the bed needs to be made. You can see the bed needs to be made. Maybe I want to start from the top and go down, but maybe I prefer to start from the top to go down instead of you wanting to go from the bottom up.
Right.
Having a different perspective is like, okay, I see this dirty bed. and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Versus you see the dirty bed and you feel like it needs to be cleaned.
Right.
And it's just like the preference of how to approach different things allows for that creativity to come out differently. And if I can relate it to music, I just kind of had this recently because I met up with some friends. They tend to work with audio files, like waveforms, like when they're putting in their samples and their kicks. I prefer to just work in MIDI because I can just tap on the keyboard. But for them, they're more click and drag and then work with the audio files and lay them out in a certain way on here, rather than, again, just working with like the notes and things like that. And I feel like that creates different processes or different types of music, different steps, exactly. Different vibes as well.
Yes, exactly. No, and I truly understand what you're saying now, because so auditor, used to be an auditor doing stuff like that. Me and Tiffany, shout out Tiff, we used to do the same audit report, but we used to do it different ways. Same exact report, same steps to get it uploaded, to get the email, to upload into the file, to get into the system. Same step for reconciling when it's time to reconcile. But how you find the reconcile is 100% on you.
Yes.
You know, and that's one thing I had to that's one thing I drove in her of, find your way of doing it. I do it this way, but I'm used to casino stuff too. I'd rather print something out, have a ruler in front of my face and go line by line and be able to mark stuff off. Some people rather have it in an Excel sheet and do formulas and do all that stuff. When Tiffany was reconciling, she'll go in order of one by one, straight in the order they give you. When I reconcile, I rather go in first money order. I find the big numbers, and then I reorganize it again to go by machine number to find which ones are matching, to which ones whatever, and then I'll play with the little money. You know, she'll probably do it completely backwards than I would, you know. But like you said, preference depend on what you prefer.
And how to get it done.
You know what I'm saying?
Another thing, like bowling, we went bowling yesterday. Like a different perspective would be, look, I need to stand over here to throw the ball to get what I need to go. Maybe there's a different perspective of just like bowl it straight from here. But my preference is like, yeah, we can both agree that like there needs to be more curve, but I prefer to hold the ball this way, while Doug prefers to hold it like this way and use his thumb in that certain way. And it's like, I get what you're saying. I agree with the result we're trying to get to.
But I need to do it my way.
But I need to do it my way because I prefer to do it this way because it just feels right. But I need to just figure out how to get that same goal that we both perceive done.
Exactly. And that's exactly what, that's kind of actually a little bit what I did on the football field today. So, coach on the Lions team, they have a bomb quarterback, wide receiver. But they have the issue of, and this is me being a experienced football player, they have the issue of waiting until they make eye contact to throw the ball. You know what I'm saying? Waiting to make sure the person's looking, waiting to make sure the person sees the ball coming, make sure I clearly see the person is wide open before I throw the ball. And it's like, I understand that works for you, but let's change up your perspective to, or I'm gonna show you a new technique to make it so it can be smoother. You know what I'm saying? And then however you guys work it is your choice. You know what I'm saying? Y'all practice that on your own. And that's what I say. I say y'all practice that on your own time and do what you do to make it work for you. But here's the principles that have been taught to me over time. You know what I'm saying? Don't look at the yardage as you're running. Count your steps. You should know how many steps it takes to get to 10 yards, from 15 yards to 20 yards. It could be 5, could be 7, could be 6. You should know how many steps you need. Quarterback, throw the ball to where you know he's going to be. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to sit there and wait for him to look at you. If you know he's going to be there and you trust him, throw it. You know? How do you guys get there? You see in the movies where they practice in the dark and they can't see nothing and they throwing the ball and they catching the ball in pitch black. You have drills where you can, every time you throw the ball, you scream. And that another person knows when it's time, when he hears a scream, to turn around and start looking for the ball. It could be, you could have a timer going off, or you put cones on the ground, and when you pass this cone, the ball is coming, so get ready. Like, it could be a lot of techniques, whatever you want to do to practice it. But this is the goal that you want to get to if you really want to be a good combination on this field. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's a great display of the
preference, right?
Preference and perspective. You gave them a different perspective, but encouraged them to find their own preference on how to get there.
Exactly. And that's what I always try to do. I'll give you a different perspective, but how you get there is your choice. You know what I'm saying? I'm just letting you know, I see this and I know this is the next level for where you guys are right now.
So to take that to go to the well, like, is it an infinite well? I feel like having all of those combinations of things allows for what I want to say. The well would be infinite.
Yeah, I agree too. I think the well is never going to be fully tapped.
Yeah.
I think, I think life and experiences is what creates creativity. Because you have books that go based off of people's experiences, movies, shows. I think literally your experience is going to really help create your creativity, along with your preference and your perspective. All those put together is what is going to keep creativity to keep coming, keep coming. And then a prime example of what I just said is The Wizard of Oz and The Wiz. Or, I'm sorry, The Wizard of Oz and
Maleficent?
What's the other one I just saw? Wicked. Sorry. I know
it was something
Wicked.
Great. Yeah.
So, allegedly, similar world, same world, but they give you a different perspective. You know what I'm saying? They show you a whole different side. You see a different experience, and then based off that experience, now you have to decide who you prefer you like actually now. You got to decide now. Is the Wicked Witch actually wicked, or is everybody else wicked and she's just mistreated? You know what I'm saying? But the idea that one story shows this lady with flying monkeys trying to kill everybody, and the other story shows this lady being mistreated, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, which story of hers do you prefer? Do you want to keep her as an evil person, or do you want to see her as a good guy now? That's your preference, you know what I'm saying? Based off the perceptions you guys just got, it's 100% your choice now to decide which preference you want to choose for that and to see through your eyes with. Right. So, I do agree, though. I think it's an endless well. One thing, every time I asked that question, what popped in my mind was the movie Soul. When he's playing the piano and they move into that infinite realm or whatever, I kind of feel like whenever you do tap in like that, that's when the creativity really comes. It starts 100%. To flow in, and that's when it's like, wow, That's
part of the reason why I don't remember any of those moments that I have where I'm just like creating where I create the solution from a problem just in the moment. It's just like, oh, okay, well, boom, 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 okay, good. We have that solved now. Let's move on.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And like the only reason I remember my moments is because they were premeditated. So like, for example, Anaya still thinks it's one of the coolest things I ever did. And I was like, that was just me being me. But we was at Mariah's birthday party. They was playing dodgeball. And there was some dodgeball bouncy stuff, and I just walked in there and I was like, "You want to see something do cool?" And I immediately split all the kids up and started a dodgeball tournament right then and there on the spot. And she was like, "How'd you do that?" Blah blah. And I was like, "It ain't that hard to do." But for her, it was like, that's creative. That's, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't believe somebody has that power. How'd you even come up with this idea to decide to do this? And for me, it was just like, this is what I do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't count that as creativity, but I do count it as creativity in some way, because I had to sit there and think about it and be like, I could pull this off. Let's see if I could. And I pulled it off. And it was like, oh shit, hell yeah, let's make it rock. So yeah. But bro, I think that was an interesting conversation for sure on creativity. We gonna probably dive deeper into it later on in life, of course. I'm sure we will. Because like I said, I think creativity is gonna forever flow, forever keep coming. I feel that we did have some good points. Your experience, your preference, your perception can all help you be creative. So it's like, embrace your creativity, or embrace your
uniqueness.
Yeah, embrace your uniqueness, and that's the ultimate thing. When you embrace your uniqueness, you become ultimately creative. So like, yes, you have your own perspective, you have your own preference, you have your own experiences. Use that to be creative in your own way, and people will rock with it or not. I'm pretty sure when they came out with the first book of Batman, they was probably like, what is this shit? You know what I'm saying? What the fuck you talking about, bro? A rich man running around dressed as a bat fighting crime. They're kind of dumb. Get this out of my office. I'm not publishing this.
Yeah.
And look at them now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, let your creativity be true to you, yo. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think would be beautiful. Is there a quote you'd like to leave with us today?
Be you.
Be you. Be beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Be you. Be beautiful.
Be beautiful. Be you to the full. Yeah, be beautiful. Be beautiful.
We're creating whole new sayings in this bitch.
So yeah, be you. Be you to. Be you. Be beautiful. Be you to the fullest. I'm gonna add fullest. So you can hear what I'm saying. Because I know somebody like, I still don't get it. So now you can get it. Be you, be beautiful, and be you to the fullest. I love it to the fullest. So, yes, everybody. Thank you guys so much for listening today. As always, we truly appreciate your feedback and the support you guys continue to give to us. Definitely on this creative experience that we're on. If you guys have anything you guys like to share, you already know you can reach out to us on email or on social media sites. With all that being said, I hope you guys have a great day, a wonderful afternoon, a marvelous evening, and remember to just keep swimming.